Okay, so the objective for this week, the remainder of this weekend, also I should remind everybody that you should be you should be making log book entries on the days that you're working on your project so that that logbook is complete. So make sure that for every time that you've worked on the project, you have a log that includes the date, the time, who it is working on a project, and a summary of what you did, any information that you got, anything that you created, drew, designed, looked up, whatever. That kind of stuff should be in there so that somebody who's recreating your project can do that without having to reinvent the wheel. And then all the other things that we did in the assignments up to this point, the Gantt charts, the PERT charts, the three-dimensional designs, the morphological charts, all that stuff. That should also be at least linked to in your logbook or actually put into the logbook directly. And then we are at the point now where you should be done with your digital design. You should have used a either SketchUp or some other version of a three-dimensional design program to mock up a design on the computer, and that should be in there as well. And then in your logbook. And now you should be putting together your prototype and testing it. Now, for most things, you don't necessarily want to build the whole thing all at once and test it. You want to build it a little bit at a time and test each part as you put it together, so that you can not have a really complex thing to test. And that's what I see you guys are doing with your Arduino project. For somebody who's doing something like a construction project, you might want to build, let's say that you're building some trusses. You might want to build the trusses, build a truss first and test it, and then build a bunch of trusses after you've tested and make sure the design works, and then put together the entire project or something like this. So so you have lots of different ways to do things. You should do it the best way possible so that you're not spending a lot of time, wasting a lot of time redoing things. So by the end of this week, you should have your prototype. I would say probably completely built and mostly tested, or some variation on that. Make sure that you're keeping track of, taking pictures of your building process, your prototyping process, your testing process. You should take pictures along the way. You should take data along the way, and you should record that in your logbook. Finally, next week, at the end of the next week, we should be giving presentations on your project. So by the end of next week, a 10 to 15 minute presentation should be completed and ready to go. You guys have any questions on all that? Okay. So by the end of next week, presentation. Okay. And then 2 weeks from today, we will meet and we will start the community service project. And then you'll be essentially doing your community service project for the rest of the semester. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If anybody has any questions that you didn't ask here or didn't want to ask here, please contact me and we will answer those questions. So, fairly well. So.